Here they come and they're live streaming. Hello, 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 everybody. How are you? It is finally just commenting to my co-host. Finally, the end of January. It couldn't come soon enough. Hopefully you're all well. It is first hot house of the year, and let's get going, shall we? Whoosh, could do with a bit of a heat actually in here. It's blooming freezing. Wherever you are in the world, let us know. As you know, on HotHouse, we are streaming also live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. So people are watching there. Hello, hi. Hopefully you're all well. And if you've not joined us before, certainly we have an audience participation. Don't worry, we're not going to pick on you, but it does mean that we have a chat open and people will be chatting there as well. And as I said, I've got co-hosts. Hello, John. Hello, Eileen. How are you?
Hiya.
Hey, how you doing?
You okay? You all set for a new year?
Well, it's already a month in, and that's a bit scary.
It is. There's only 11 months to go, everybody. So not that we wish.
How many shopping days?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
don't.
So let's get going, shall we? Because we have got a ram-packed session today. PMO rocks, and over to you, John, for another Hot House Roundup.
Absolutely. So it is January. It's been a bit quiet out there on the news front. Not that much going on, but I have found a few gems for you. Firstly, you may recall if you were in December's session, I went to Turkey to an unconference where I was excited about things happening with PMI, where they're going to release some new PMO guidance. I'll come on to that in a second. But they've done something else in the meantime. I was waiting for that guidance to come out. That was the next big announcement I was expecting from them, and they completely threw me at the start of January because they'd been shopping in the Christmas sales, presumably, and they went out and bought the Agile Alliance. So Agile Alliance is basically the organization behind the Agile Manifesto. A lot of the key figures in the agile world are founding members, people like sort of Kent Beck and co, and they've been bought by PMI, who have been on a journey for a while through the last few body of knowledges that they've published. They've been getting more and more focused on the agile environment and all of the frameworks that fall under that umbrella of agility. This seems to be their next big step into that. It's the second large organization they seem to have bought in the last 12 months. And there's a big question floating around on LinkedIn, which is the one on the next slide, Lizzie. Has Agile jumped the shark? There was grumbling last year about this, people sort of moaning that there's too many consultants in Agile now and it's not how it used to be. And I think the fact that PMI have then gone and bought the Agile Alliance has been sort of throwing petrol on that fire for a lot of people, thinking Agile has gone too corporate, Agile is too structured now. Sorry, Eileen's asking what jump the shark means. It's a term mainly in TV shows, where you get a TV show that's been going for a long time and you suddenly look at it and go, oh, actually, it's kind of gone a bit too far now and it's all got silly and it kind of dies at that point. It stems from Happy Days. Anyone remember Happy Days? Anyone of my age with Fonzie? It was several series in where they set up a scene where Fonzie was water skiing and jumped over a shark on water skis, and that term therefore jump the shark has become a thing ever since for when some sort of meme or something has actually gone so far that it's got a bit silly and has kind of died and become old school now. So that's what we're talking about there. Has Agile jumped the shark? There's a lot of conversation on Twitter about maybe the old conversations about waterfall versus Agile may finally be dying a death. That might have been something we waved goodbye to happily as of the end of 2024, and we just all focus as a gang on how to get things delivered, how to get the right things delivered faster. And regardless of whether we're agile or waterfall, just choosing the right framework for the right environment and doing what it takes to get things delivered.
Okay.
On to the next one.
Yeah.
So this is what I was waiting for. This is what PMI were supposed to be launching when I was over in Turkey. And I see we've got somebody from Turkey in the chat here. So hello to you. They were producing new documentation. This is having done their other bit of shopping last year and bought the PMO Global Alliance. They were putting out a paper which it is largely covering off stuff they've done before, which is the PMO value ring, but also introducing, not only is there a ring, there's going to be a flywheel. So basically the value ring is about thinking of how to set up your PMO for success and understand the business environment it operates in. Then the flywheel is there, the idea being that you're then gathering momentum going forward from it. Talked about those in previous sessions. I'm not going to go into that really today. This is their latest couple of slides about what's coming out in the new guide. I am very, very happy to say they haven't taken away the words paradigm shift, because everybody loves a paradigm shift. Although that said, I've looked from what's been published so far, I'm not seeing much of a paradigm shift, more of a sort of minor tweak and evolution on what they've done so far. Crucially, this is out on the 4th of February. So if you're a PMI member, I'd expect that to be on the website and you should be able to download that then. Moving on, because Lindsay does have a packed agenda and I expect she's sitting there nervously watching the minutes tick by. A couple of things from the journals for you. This one from the Journal of General Management, a rather wordy paper. I'll share the link in a second for you. Digital transformation and green innovation, the mediating role of green management disclosure and the moderating role of institutional environments. That's quite a mouthful, isn't it? Now, what's interesting about this, though, is I personally have tended to thought when we're doing digital transformations, it's a lot of tech. Tech isn't green, tech isn't environmentally friendly. And then seemingly quite separately, we've got initiatives going on often elsewhere in the business to think about green, sustainable policies. And we've had a number of people, those of you who attend the House of PMO conferences, have actually talked about the PMO's role in capturing those green metrics and surfacing those up to governance in the organization. Well, what this paper does is draws a link between digital transformations and green agendas and green innovation. And it actually shows that companies embarking on digital transformations actually improve not just efficiency, but also sustainability and their green credentials as well, and making things more environmentally friendly as they move to data centers that are generally more efficient and products that are generally more efficient as well. So that's quite an interesting one. Your digital transformation may actually be doing a lot towards your green innovation goals as well. The second point there is green management disclosure, i.e. actually the organizations who publish their sustainability goals and their measures and make that really, really transparent. Those organizations see a lot stronger correlation between their digital transformation and their green innovation. So two things there really take away. Firstly, as has been discussed in multiple forums before, there's a question there about, are you as a PMO measuring your green metrics for the organization, sustainability metrics, and what do those look like and how are you surfacing them? But also have a look at your digital projects and have a think about whether the benefits cases for those also draw a link with green and sustainability metrics and carbon saving and things like that. Because if not, maybe there's an opportunity there to highlight even more benefits from those projects than you first realized. And secondly, if you're not supporting those things and it is something important to your organization, have a think about how you can be measuring those things as well as the time, cost, quality things that we tend to do traditionally.
Excellent. And go and check out on the events page. We've got a session coming up in April with a lovely Joel, who is probably the leading expert. He's been doing this stuff for like 20 years. Green Project Management is the name of his firm. We're going to have a good session coming up teaching us Sustainability 101 in project management. So if you've got no clue, come and join us then. Okay.
Happy days. And the last one, which I loved, was this one, Unlearning Nothingness and Non-Events in Management Education. This is not aimed at project managers. It's an essay. It's targeting business schools more than anything else. But it was in the Journal of Management Learning, but I quite liked it. What they were asserting here is that management theory focuses too much on everything being complete, productivity, everyone achieving full outcomes. Whereas in reality, they say, well, basically, certainly in a capitalist structure, we really thrive on those kind of voids and gaps, interruptions, incompleteness, and kind of working out how we move forwards on those. And there was a challenge in the essay to business schools to incorporate non-events, interruptions, and pauses into how they teach people to do business, and saying those gaps and things are valuable. It's a good read, lots of sort of history of Drucker and various things there, but a few key takeaways. Firstly, it advocates slowing down to speed up, those making the most of those gaps, patience leading to better decision making rather than continuously firefighting, shooting from the hip and jumping onto the next thing is really, really valuable. Ties in for those of you in lean agile environments, limiting work in progress, creating gaps and allowing people to take more time to analyze things. And then the other one there, incomplete information. See that as an opportunity. I know we don't like it. I know it makes us twitchy, but where there is gaps, where there are delays forced on us, see those as opportunities for reflection, prioritization, and testing our own ability to be more adaptive. And then one, I think, again, we all know already, but not all project success is in the deliverables. Think about the other more intangible things that we get out of them as well. The learning for the organization and the individuals, the resilience that we build up through learning as we go, and also failures during projects can provide long-term value to the organization that is often intangible as we reflect on those things, learn about them, and become stronger as a result of it. That's me. That's the news for this month.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. I think we've all come to learn and love John's segment because of the segue of it, some of the subjects that you might come up with. So I really like that. Unlearning and non-events like that. Excellent. I shall have a deeper read at that. Okay, let's move on then. Like we said, we've got a busy old session. It's cost for high energy because it's the beginning of the year. That's
We gave a challenge,
and then we'll be coming out to you.
Yes,
And on your tables, you should have.
what's going on?
You've got a little hot or not thing to hold
That's
up.
my terrible little singing in there because we wanted to, but we're not allowed to. Okay, so we've been planning. If you've been watching anything that we've done on social media, there's certainly on our Instagram, which you can find us, House of PMO. We did a lot of planning in January, and one of the things you can see there, the New Year planning, was about values. I think for many of you may already be aware that we have a mission and a vision, and a mission about building a house for PMO professionals to come together and to learn and share and connect. Have a vision that we hope that the PMO profession globally is established. But one of the things that follows through from that is values. I just wondered because there's quite a lot of us have values within your own PMO. I know, I mean, the question is, do you also know what your organization's values are? Because that would be quite an interesting place to start. But when I've been talking to people about, doing some sessions at the conference, for example, we do talk about some of this stuff because they talk about their journey of their PMO, and values is often something that comes up. And I just wondered whether anybody else has values in terms of their PMO. Here's an example of what we mean by values, and you can see there quite nicely, little acronym there, PMO, and the values associated with them. The reason why we say that is because Eileen and I, in the middle of Yorkshire Moors, in the middle of the snowy season, we kind of thought, do you know what? I don't think we had got values, but we had not articulated them. So we'd actually come up with the House of PMO values, and we wanted to share them with you. And of course, we went for the acronym HOUSE, because apparently values are easier to remember if you've got a word association to them. Eileen, can you remember what they are?
Oh yes, you see. So I knew she was going to do this. So H, helpful.
Art. Everybody will
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, well, she's got it on her wrist for a start. I don't know if everybody's seen your
My
wrist.
tattoo.
Yes, she has a
Don't know
tattoo
whether you can see. I'm trying to see the camera. Yeah, it is. So you can just see it.
that we had to have a heart in there somewhere. That we have the stickers. You can see it on our Zoom thing there. But again, just thinking about, it's quite hard to do these. It was an interesting few hours trying to come up with them, but just give you an idea about where we were going with ours. So the O is opportunity. So hopefully we provide you with opportunities to learn, to grow, to connect with other people, build relationships, all of that kind of stuff. I think that's pretty much, what a kind of membership organization should all be about. Unity, so again, just
Can I
bringing,
say I remembered the rest of them? It was just the H I'd forgotten.
was it? Right, very good, very good. You get a prize for that.
I get a red star. I get a red heart.
Yeah.
Dropping your H's, Eileen.
That's not my job.
One of the best ones for me, and I see it coming up quite a lot, is curiosity. We've used it a lot over the last few years, trying to get people to play, to be curious, because there are quite a lot of things that are coming down the line, and things that we need to be getting out there and exploring a little bit further. Curiosity is you turning up to some of these events that we do that might not be on your radar, that kind of thing. So there's a unity. Support, that we're there to strengthen the PMO profession, we hope, bringing other things to the table. Of course, there's lots of other people around the world also creating some great stuff, and making sure that we're collaborating with them as well. So there's the support. And what about E? What do you think we could have come up with for E? Any ideas for an E? Energy and enthusiasm. So, hopefully people are, hate the vibe, but yes, it is pretty open. It's straightforward. We do it with enthusiasm, positivity, inspiring the community to think about their own challenges and things like that. So that's one of the pieces of the work that we've been doing, but that wasn't the only kind of planning. So yeah, some of this news today is, the House of PMO news, which we don't really often share what it is that we're doing in terms of a membership organization, which we thought beginning of the year, just a little bit. But hopefully you might think about values yourself for your PMO. Great little activity to do with your team, to come up with your values. So something to think about there.
I just said that the great thing about this is we did them as we've kind of been going, and to me it's been reinforcing what we do rather than trying to think about some values that we would try and live by. And it's really interesting reflecting on those values and just some of the things we've got in today's session. To me, kind of says hopefully that we're exemplifying those values.
Absolutely. So, and one of the big pieces was looking at the event strategy, because actually, a lot of what we're doing is events based. It always has been events driven ever since we started back in the day. 2013 with PMO Flash Mob, it was all about people and bringing them together, which is obviously something we still do a lot of. So this is a piece of the pie, a cake actually. If you think of the top layer, we're doing a lot of it, the conferences. We've got London, we've got Edinburgh, we do the PMO Learn events, and then we're doing the virtual sessions on a weekly basis. But something is missing and something that we want to do more of. And for a lot of that kind of post-COVID time, really struggles with this. But we're going to go for it 2025. And we've already started to put things in place where hopefully we can start to get people back together again. So we, for example, are in the South Coast, and that's come about because people are wanting stuff in their region. So we've got a couple of people there that are really enthusiastic about it, and thought, can we do something? Of course you can. So South Coast, we've got Dublin coming up at the end of March. That's a new one. Let's see what the community is like out there in Ireland. We're going to get back up to Edinburgh and Glasgow, because that's something that we did and enjoyed very much, before the pandemic, and obviously having our conference up in Edinburgh, we want to get back up there again. I'm in Manchester. I want them on my doorstep too. So there's got Manchester, we've got Birmingham. We'll carry on with London. Perhaps we'll spread it out to Liverpool and Leeds. Where else? Where else do we want to do it? We are starting to look at putting events where people are saying they really, really want to see them. We're testing that. We're getting in touch with the membership and saying we've got, we want to do an event in this area. Would you be interested? Would you come and support it? So rather than just picking places randomly, we're going to be doing it based on membership. So if you're listening to this and you really love something near you, do get in touch with us. That's what we're here to try and do. We want to listen to what you're doing. And if you're interested in what the BL is, this is another thing that we want to do in terms of in-person events, which is about looking at some of the sectors or different areas where we can get people together around a particular theme or particular organizations that they work in. So the BL stands for Blue Light. So we're wanting to bring together people that are specifically working in PMOs in that industry. So there's a little bit of what we've been up to, what we're planning, what's coming up. Hopefully you'll be behind us and supporting us all along the way. So, Eileen.
Well, so we've been out and about. I love that comment. Garrett, we'll see if we can get over to Malaga at some point. Yes, we kind of come and have a bit more sunshine. So just a couple of things that we did at the back end of last year that I'm not sure we told you a lot about, and then our latest trip, which some people might have seen. So we had a session at PRS. One of our corporate customers gave us a room, and we went along and we talked about the big opportunity for PMOs. Now, this is really stemmed from some work we'd done previously, and it started off with the BIG, if you go to the next slide, Lindsay, which is business integrated governance. Now, this is something that's been around since about 2018, which kind of looks at how organizations drive project and program execution from their strategy and the potentially that kind of gap in between. We also at the conference, it wasn't last year, I'm sure it was the year before, I did a paper and a presentation on PMO as a business function. So Lindsay, just press. Oh, they'll come. There she goes. So PMO is a business function. So that's down there to download. And it was really kind of where these two ideas come together to look at having PMO as a business function. How do we help organizations overcome this gap between delivery of their strategy? So we've kind of started pulling the stuff together, and I just wanted to share kind of 5 of the key findings. So if we go to the next page, I'm just going to kind of rattle through these, and you'll see we're going to produce a paper. So we're back to the kind of nobody really knows what a PMO does. It's not that they don't know what it does, it just can do so much. So trying to find some kind of clarity in where it fits. Definitely identified that actually having a holistic approach, this kind of integrated PMO model, is much more effective for the organization than individual kind of siloed PMOs. And one of the things we said was, it's not just about one project or one program. Actually, the whole organization needs to understand how we're doing delivery and how we're moving that forward. And so having a view of how that's supported through your PMO makes much more sense. And if we really want to be effective, then we actually need to be seen and behave as a necessary business function. And we had lots of people around the table. Again, all of us had stories about how difficult it was to actually kind of align holistically from that kind of strategic planning to strategy execution. And there's some statistics on there in terms of, lots of organizations thought they were quite good at doing the strategic planning, knowing where they wanted to go, having an idea of how they would get there. But when it came to strategy execution, tying all of the bits together to make that work across the organization was difficult. And in order to do that effectively, you actually can't just look at the change portfolio, which is, kind of historically where a lot of PMOs are focused. You actually need to look across that, plus business as usual, including all of the product groups. As we know now, there's a lot of kind of product management, not just project management happening in organizations. And there really is this kind of opportunity for PMOs to say, well, actually, rather than just report on the change portfolio, we're going to start talking about some kind of holistic reporting around kind of execution and the delivery of benefits that actually kind of drives that organization's strategy. So really interesting. And there's, I would be wrong to say everybody thought, yeah, this is a great idea. Lots of people said, actually, we're comfortable, our organization just wants us in the change portfolio. portfolio, but there's definitely an opportunity. And so what we're going to do with all of that kind of information and some kind of further work, we're going to produce a report. So that should be coming out in the next couple of months. And then we will be producing a webinar, and we'll kind of take you through that in a little bit more detail. So if you're interested in bigger, I put the website up there previously, and the report will be there to download for members, and the webinar should be open to everybody. The other thing we did was to go back, and we did this again a number of years ago. We looked at resource management, and every conversation we have, every time we kind of have a conference and we talk to people, everybody says this still continues to be a challenge. So we had a day, look back in the lovely Houses of Parliament, one of my most favourite places. And we went back and kind of revisited our paper, which we developed, something called the Circle of Resource Management, where we identified that actually to really do effective resource management, there was three different areas we needed to look at. So we needed to look at it from a resource perspective, a project perspective, and a portfolio perspective. And we blew out all of that into a number of different circles within circles, back to the circles and flywheels and what have you. So that's what we did, and we revisited that. So on the day, we managed to talk through resources and we managed to talk through project. The plan was we'd kind of do resources and project and then spend a lot more time doing portfolio management. As it happened, because it's such an interesting topic and one that people have real challenges with, both the resource and the project areas basically took our whole time. So what we've got is we've got another session. It's on the events page where you can join in. And what we're going to do is we're going to have one more session where we're going to talk about the portfolio management area. So if you're interested, sign up for that event. It's a virtual roundtable discussion. And again, from that, we'll kind of do an updated paper. And because it's such a key subject, on the next slide, we're going to do a presentation at the conference. So if you're coming to the conference, you'll see that live. Undoubtedly, we'll have copies of the report at the conference. And again, for members, you'll be able to download that from our website. And then the final trip, so just shown, we don't just go to the frozen north. We did a trip across the pond. Some of us took 48 hours to get there, which was a bit more of an interesting journey than we'd anticipated, to go and see our friend Laura. And I think just kind of going back to reinforcing our value of unity, we're very much in a position of wanting to collaborate with people who have views and ideas and good things for PMOs. We're not there to kind of be in competition. It really is kind of producing for our members. Anything that we think is kind of useful is really going to help deliver more success for our organizations through effective PMOs. So most of you will know Laura. She's been at the conference. She's done some webinars for us. She has something called the Impact Engine System. And at the conference last year, we had gifts. There were books available. So we went over to have a chat with Laura, just look at how we could collaborate and how we could get some benefit from our members. And there was a couple of really interesting kind of ideas that we kind of formed, and we're kind of now trying to we're doing it all, kind of moving from planning to execution. So the first thing that really comes along is what's going to be happening at the conference. So currently at the moment, on the next slide, what we've got on the website at the moment is 2-day event. We've got PMO Learn, which is our kind of 4 learning sessions through the day, and next week you'll see what those 4 sessions are. On the Thursday, we have the PMO conference, our fantastic 10th anniversary celebration as well. And what we've done now, if Lindsay goes on to the 3rd page, we've actually added a 3rd day. So this is going to be a 1-day training course delivered by Laura, supported by myself, and we're going to kind of introduce the Impact Engine System. So essentially it's a 1-day training course. The tickets will be on sale on Tuesday, so the website's all been updated. You'll see that the early bird pricing is due to finish any minute now. So we're busy putting the... Sorry, Lindsay?
Preview rate is finishing, which is the cheapest ticket.
Oh, sorry, the preview rate. Early bird rate starts next week. By which time we've got the whole conference schedule laid out. We'll have some more details on what that one day is going to be. We'd love you to have you there for all 3 days, but if you can only pick one, then or two, then that's fine. But do try and come along with your friends. But that third day is going to be a kind of a proper training day. We've got limited places available, so it's not going to be the big PMO Learn with over 100 people. So if you're interested in coming, then do come. And I'm just going to kind of put it in there because what we're also doing is looking at what other benefits we can provide from that impact engine system for our members.
Excellent.
So a busy old time.
So you probably guess from that Laura might be in London around the time.
Possibly.
So, but you will be releasing the keynotes and all some of the sessions, drips and drabs. That's what we do when we switch over from preview to early bird. So when we start releasing the agenda. So I hope you're going to really love it. Like we said, it's a 10th anniversary. I can't believe it. But hopefully you can. Right. So let's move on. So we kind of started thinking about, trends in the first session in January. You'll be able to go and see those. If you go onto the news part of the website, you'll see our trends and predictions. And part of the conversation that we were having, we had a session at the end of last year about accidental project managers. And this is what happens sometimes. If somebody says something within a session, you think, oh, we'd really love to know a bit more about that. What happens is we might want you to come along and perhaps tell us a little bit more about it, which is what we're going to do right now. Okay. So we've got somebody in our hot seats, and I'd like to welcome Karen. Karen, put a little comment in when we were on the session about accidental project managers, and it is one of the trends that we're looking at as well this year in terms of the PMO being in an ideally situated to be able to help these people that are within our organizations that find themselves managing projects, whether they're a known kind of project manager or new to the game, or actually whether they're trying to manage it alongside their day job. Karen, how are you? Are you okay?
Hello, Lindsay. I'm fine, thank you. Hello, everybody. It's nice to be here, and thank you the invite to come along.
Yeah, so I'm going to hand over to you because you've put a few slides together, which is great. Just take us through what's happening for you at the NHS Leeds Teaching Hospital.
Lovely, thank you. So as Lindsay mentioned, I was on the accidental PM presentation by Jeremy Nichols. Have to say my slides are absolutely not going to be as fun as his. I really don't think for any of those that were on there, the top trumps presentation was amazing that he did. So it was a really interesting presentation around people kind of been put into project management roles that maybe haven't done it before, or they think that they're really qualified. And I happen to mention that we have experienced some issues. We call it affiliated project managers at Leeds. And this is where we've had, would you mind moving to the next slide, please, Lynn? Oh, sorry, just well, before I move on, I've asked my colleague Eliza to join us today as well, because Eliza was heavily involved in the development of the pack that we're going to mention. So thank you to Eliza, she's joining us as well. So one of the challenges that we found at Leeds is, because it's such a big trust, one of the things that wasn't kind of managed probably as well as it should have been was the IT procurement. So we had services and different clinical teams going off and buying what we called shadow IT. So our colleagues have worked with procurement and have really got that nailed down now. But what we did find is that CSUs weren't appointing suitably experienced project managers to deliver these projects. And then what would happen is they'd go away, buy a piece of software, buy a piece of equipment, and then they'd expect the IT to support that, but they had no knowledge, either didn't meet the criteria, didn't meet standards, etc. So we needed to make sure that they weren't given that kind of free rein to be able to go and buy things. And one of the other things that we noticed is actually people who've been put in unfair positions in like clinical spaces to run projects, and they didn't have a clue how to run a project. They weren't supported. They were expected to do this running alongside their day jobs. So what we did is we formally reached out to them and said, look, we can give you some support here. So we started engaging with CSUs, and as per, we've got like a request process, which I'll just cover briefly in my next slide. But when the CSUs put a request in, we call it an expression of interest and we triage it. And some of those requests might be able to be delivered by what we class as an affiliated PM. So somebody who has that experience, can deliver a project, but with some support around kind of formal processes and that through life cycle. So we developed a support pack with them, and this is where Eliza was heavily involved in kind of doing that engagement and working with some of our affiliated PMs, which were like critical friends, and trialing the pack. Could we move on to the next slide, please, Lindsay? So I don't intend to kind of labour through this one, but this is our 7-step PDLC process and how we manage our portfolio, our comms and engagement, and the 7 steps of project management through from that initial expression of interest right through to closure. So again, that was just to give you an idea of the steps that we take, how we govern it, and the transition through the stage gate boundaries. Could you move on to the next slide, please?
I like the fact that you're using triage.
Yeah, so the triage we have, so we have all our subject matter experts, and actually because it's worked so well, we don't only triage requests for projects now, for DIT projects. We've got our electronic health record team. Their requests now come through us as part of that triage as well, because they sit as part of that group. So the PMO has been able to add value in other areas as well, which has been great. And also some what we call small work requests. So they're like technical requests. It might be to stand up a new server, for example. So that they can come through this process as well. So it's really added value to other areas having that triage process in place.
From turning up at an A&E department to be
so as I say, we did that engagement. So I'll let Eliza come in to chat kind of give a bit more background kind of about the problem that we experienced in the statement and how we were going to address that. Eliza, are you happy to come in?
Yeah, thank you, Karen. So I can't see that my camera is currently showing. It's certainly switched on, but if you see a black screen, I apologise for that. But hi everyone, I'm Eliza, a programme manager within Projects and Programmes team here at Leeds Teaching Hospital. So, I mean, Karen's given a really good overview of what the challenge was, and I guess took on leading that to try and alleviate some of the issues that we'd come across. So to start off with, our starting point, there was a lot of information that we already had. So we knew we had a problem and what the problems were when affiliated project managers did some of the projects. We also knew that we had a standardised process within our PMO and an idea of some sort of a criteria for someone who's managing a project and what that would require. So in the first instance, I wanted to pull that together, create a cohesive document. I've taken out one of the slides from the pack, really, just to give a bit of an overview and be able to stress the importance of having a consistent approach and even be able to articulate what the problem is in the first instance. So what I tried to do in this pack is pull together a bit of an overview of what I thought would be necessary literature. So our PDLC process that Karen had referred to, which explains each of the stage gates as well as each of the documents that are within the stage gates and links to artifacts or templates. So anyone going into it would be able to, a really quick and easy way, be able to access the information that would help them manage a project. So the affiliated project managers that we had that were outside of the projects and programs team weren't necessarily aware of what the process was, standardized documents, RAID logs, something simple like that. Often what we'd found is it's someone like a business manager who's very organized, that is put forward to run a project. And it's slightly unfair because, you know, it will come short on certain things. And what we also found was the challenges that they encountered were more so that they didn't know who to approach for things. So I may not have included it in the slides here, but what I also tried to do is pull together a bit of a sort of information on these are the teams that are available when you need to request any sort of technical activity. So whether that's a sort of data center team for a server that they might need, or a development team for any other requirements they have. so that it almost then pinpoint each individual team who they need to go to. And this was really instrumental, because what we think people outside of PMO might need and what they needed was a little bit eye-opening in terms of even the sort of most simple of information that they didn't know. What also came about was that they didn't really know how to raise a work request, so work order request. So after a couple of iterations, probably 3 or 4 actually, we included things like a worked example of how to raise a request, whether it's a simple one or a complex one, how that is then prioritized, how to monitor that, what lead times some of the teams will need. So if they do want a server building, we'll need to know, X number of weeks in advance, so we can try and line up some resources. So if I could just go on to the next slide, please. Sorry, just the one before that. Thank you. And this was something that also came about in terms of the limited information. So again, it may be very clear to people that are in a PMO or projects and programs team what the difference is between some of the frameworks. So we have quite a well-established PDLC's project delivery lifecycle and the stage gates within that. But in addition to that, we also have a change governance process through our CAB and TAB. So if people were aware of the PDLC, what they didn't know was that they also had to then formally submit their change for it to be reviewed at technical or a change advisory board. So sort of information like this that was really helpful to them. Then this came out of the number of engagement meetings that I've had. So in the first instance, this pack was tested out on affiliate project managers that we already knew about. So those that were on our books, or they'd already told us about some projects that they were doing, but they were outside of projects and programs. And the really nice thing about that was through word of mouth or people sort of talking to each other. I then had people that were reaching out that were outside of that we probably wouldn't necessarily have even known that they're doing some sort of digital initiative. And so some of this has now been fed in from those people that are completely away from the projects and programs, and they've started using it. So that's really nice to see. But yeah, things like this has been, it's been instrumental in making sure that they follow the correct governance process and they know what they need to do. I think oftentimes it's not through a lack of trying for some of these, they just simply don't know the information of what they need to do. So and then in the vein of trying to be as supportive as we possibly can without it being burdensome, and Karen and her team, what I've also tried to do is, if we go just to the final slide, the next slide, sorry, is put together what sources of support that they will have, where possible, them to our PMO intranet page that will have an overview of the processes, what EOIs, the expression of interest we might have, or what's on the project portfolio, and a list of the artifacts. So where they can try and go and dig away and have some sort of information themselves, that's the preferred option. But there's also guidance that we can provide, and Karen's team can provide, like these project assurance meetings or coming over to our project review board, links to any artifacts, our help desk link in there. And what we're trying to do, what you'll see at the last one on there, is trying to arrange, I won't quite call it an Ask the Expert session, more a lunch and learn, but for a session to be arranged for Karen and I, or anyone else, to just go through what that process is for someone to come and ask their specific questions, maybe of a lunch session. So that's yet to be arranged, but I think that will again be instrumental in drumming up more interest in this, and probably even just putting it out there that there is a pack available, and it will help try and prevent some people going to do it in their own ways. I'll hand back to Karen, who's got some fantastic statistics since we've launched this.
Lovely, thank you, Eliza. And I think just what Eliza was saying, as part of the engagement, so through the project delivery lifecycle, we have different governance meetings. So we have absolutely pushed this and launched this and made everybody aware of it. And I meet with general managers, and I go on business partnering meetings as well with our different CSUs that are aware of these initiatives. But just kind of flag some of the improvements and successes that we've seen. So The affiliate PMs are feeling supported. We've got stricter controls in place around that shadow IT, so people understand they can't just go and buy something. They need to make sure that it meets our standards, the correct documents are completed to make sure that I can go into successful handover for support, and making sure that everything's agreed. And they're seeking that support now, which is really, really good. And it could be, as Eliza mentioned, by word of mouth, but also sessions that we're going to. As a trust, we ran a full calendar of events in December called Digital December. And this is where kind of different experts, so from different areas of IT, did presentations. So I did one around the PMO, but how we prioritise projects. So that gave a real open and awareness, and we were able to mention things like this. One of the things that we do have a challenge with in public sector is funding, and I'm sure many others on the call will have the same. But you know, we don't have the flexibility now to appoint contractors to flex our workforce. So actually using our substantive staff is really, really important. And if there are projects which can be run by the service, that can actually reduce the waiting times that people are waiting for projects to be delivered. And that's because of the support that we're able to provide them. And I think one of the most interesting things since we brought this in really kind of latterly towards the end of last year is that when we've now got 25% of our in-flight projects are actually been managed by affiliated PMs, and they've been project managed effectively as well, following our processes. So it has really made a massive difference within the trust.
Brilliant. Excellent. That's what we like to hear. Those are the kind of stats that we want to see. And good luck to you. You know, we all just to, you know, to succeed and do a great job. So, you know, more interestingly with that also, I'm sure that there's some people there that are getting a taste for the project side of stuff, what they're doing. And again, it's like anything, any job, isn't it? You have a little bit more challenge or difference to your job, it can only be a good thing for some people. So at 25%, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, you got your work cut out. Anybody who wants to reach out to Karen, please do. Karen Shakespeare. You can't forget that surname. Make sure you do connect with Karen. If you want to just drop your LinkedIn profile into chat, that'd be super. But be sure to connect to her. Just going to wrap up for now. So thanks very much, Karen and Eliza, for doing that for us. That's fantastic. Anybody who wants to think about sitting in the seat, please do let us know. Otherwise, I'm going to collar you one of these days. So we know that we've got the 10th anniversary. We hope you can join us. Like we said, the cheapest tickets you can get are going to be coming to an end over the weekend. So get your last minute bookings in that. But we start releasing the agendas, and you can see what wonderful things we've got lined up. And just before we leave you, we've got some more stuff coming up. This one, that's the next one about data viz. As you can probably imagine, very, very interesting to a lot of people. So I think we can expect to see quite a lot of people on that one. We're going to be in the South Coast, looking forward to getting the train down there, seeing people. The resource management one that Eileen mentioned is also up there. Plus more, there's more on there. I've not listed everything. So that's it for now. A quick goodbye from me. John, Eileen.
Thanks, everyone. See you next month. And if you see any news that looks interesting during the month, do ping it over to me, and I'll see if I can include it in the roundup next month.
Excellent. And if you want to be in that hot seat, let us know. Yeah. That's it for now. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Whoosh.
There we go.
Okay, we've got to go, John. I've got a meeting straight away. So take care. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Gotcha.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.